All right, so as we finish up our rough drafts, let's take just a second to talk about conclusion paragraphs. This is kind of your inverted intro, actually. It starts with the most narrow part of your topic, which is your restated thesis statement. You'll start to broaden out where you start to summarize those main points, and finally have sort of this concluding statement. So there's three pieces with restating the thesis statement first. It's a fresh rephrasing of the thesis statement. So you're not just going to copy and paste what was in your intro, but you're going to rephrase it in a way that the reader is reminded of what was the ultimate argument so they can decide whether you actually proved it. You're then going to summarize those main points. So summarize or wrap up the main points that you outlined in your body within the essay and explain how it all fits together to prove that thesis. And then you get that opportunity to sort of have that closing statement. So your final words, and you can connect back to the introduction. Some people like to sort of sandwich or create a frame within their paper and come back to this general idea. It could provide a sense of closure, purpose, or significance for your argument. So those are the three pieces. Honestly, don't overthink your conclusion paragraph. Keep it simple if you want. Restate that thesis, summarize what your main points were, and make that closing statement. Why was your topic significant? So, if we go back to the model paper that we've been looking at about prisons, let me get back to it. If we remember, it was kind of a three-part thesis statement that talked about the psychology of prisoners and what we've learned about mental illness within prisons and, those that are incarcerated. And then making an argument that keeping people with mental illness, addiction, and whatnot is not actually beneficial for the inmate and is also a drain on taxpayers and a drain on the economy. So that was the thesis statement, and then we're going to see how it all wraps up. What she does kind of interestingly here, throughout the paper, she's really objective. She very clearly sets up and integrates her evidence from very credible sources, very clearly and objectively explains how it proves her thesis, but by the conclusion, she actually ties in pathos, so sort of that emotional appeal. This is the first time that you kind of hear her voice come through in her frustration. Her hope is that as you've read all the evidence presented in the paper, that you will feel her passion towards this topic. So this is kind of that one point. And it's still not written in first person, but it does have a little bit more personality to it. So let's start by restating the thesis statement, and then we'll summarize those main points and conclude. Conclusively, the prison system is a dated, incapable system that shows no beneficial factors to prisoners or the taxpayers. The data clearly presented above proves this statement, and that change is needed. Changing this dated and immoral system can have the possibilities of improving individuals' dark and emotional past into a bright and helpful future, also saving tax dollars and putting those somewhere far more useful. Having a current system that was based on no scientific proof or any evidence of actually showing progress is somewhat embarrassing to the American citizen taxpayers and prisoners not receiving the correct level of care. To have a country this advanced but somehow disregard the number of mentally sick, addicted, and helpless prisoners wasting their life away restricted by four walls and guilt is simply sickening. The land of opportunity should live up to its name, and liberty and justice is not just excluded to the people who get the best opportunity. If a nation that stands for freedom and justice for all continues without changes, it's no wonder hypocrisy will soon end it all. So again, a few grammar things as we go through this, but the sentiment is solid. She very much rephrases that thesis at the top, goes through and summarizes her main points, and you can feel her passion by the end where she concludes her concern for hypocrisy within our country. So that's kind of the three pieces, the three paragraphs or types of paragraphs that will be in your rough draft. Keep working through this. Again, email me with any questions or join my office hours, and I'm happy to look over your specific pieces within your paper or answer your questions.